Hello, welcome to our talk show and podcast. I'm Mitch. This is my co-host Joe Martin, and today we have our awesome guest, Michael. How are you?
Doing super awesome.
Good to hear. So, if you could please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you and what you do.
Absolutely. My name is Michael Vasconez. You can find me on all social media platforms. I just have a little number 11 after that for most of them, but most of them, if you just look up my name, you can find me. And what I do for a living is I support people through the transformational process that they go through in their life. And the 5 areas that I focus on is something I developed called the framework technique that I work with my clients. And it's the internal and external realities of your life, communication, relationships, and your health. And the health is a big component, which I went and got trained under a health institute in West Palm Beach, Florida, called the Hippocrates Health Institute, which is one of the most well-known institutes in the world for finding holistic healing in the body, mind, and spirit. And I studied pretty in depth with them. I became a coach and mentor for them. And then I'm also a trained life coach. And I blend the two things together to not focus on one side or the other, but to really incorporate that into people's life and allow a person's own consciousness to guide them through their transformation. And I just help facilitate the process and support the person going through that process. And also I have some knowledge that I can mentor them through when the time calls for that as well.
So are you like setting up like diets and things like that for people, or is it more like how they can heal themselves, or what exactly is the healing process of that?
Well, the diet element is something I can do, but when a person's ready for it. So a lot of times people, they go looking for diets and they're not even ready for that. So if I would ask a person, what's the first thing that you know you can do to change your own diet? Like, even so, in the level of consciousness that they're at, if I would ask them, what's the first thing you know you need to do to better your health? A person could be like, I need to stop doing this so much. I do this too much. They already know so much. So I implement their own knowing into their life, because that's their own transformational process coming through. And it's really empowering them to go off of what they already know. And then once the ball's rolling in that direction, there's so much that I can suggest. But the suggestions come equally or a little bit after their own internal, internal inertia starts to take hold in their life. And that's when I can start implementing diet changes, lifestyle changes, and things like that. But we all know so much, and listening to that.
So how hard is that to get people to follow? Because I think a lot of people do know, but it's more about the practice than the knowing in a lot of situations.
It's all about that. That's exactly what I help do. I help strengthen that knowing and putting it into your life. Like, I help people connect the dots. And I do a type of coaching called, I studied under, his name's Leon Vanderpool, and he developed a very unique style of coaching called deep transformational coaching. And it's a very, very unique way to coach. And I blend that with traditional life coaching. So when a person works with me, they'll get a deep session with me, which really evokes and awakens consciousness. And then we can have more of like a mentor, like coaching session, which allows them to really get the ball rolling. So it's a blend of working with someone. But when a person is given time and space in their life to take the knowing that they know and to not feel judged, not feel rushed, to feel heard, and also feel supported, there's something that happens. They connect dots within themselves, and they naturally will start just making better choices just without even being told to do it. And that is, once that process is started, sometimes it takes, depending on the person, sometimes it takes some time. But once that process is started, then the suggestions from me, it's like lighting fuel onto a fire already instead of starting a fire with my fuel, you know? And this is everlasting change. This is like a journey that never stops, because once they learn to listen to themselves and to find their own guidance, it's going to be a totally different dynamic than someone that's always looking, oh, this didn't work, I'm going to pay for this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work. Instead, it's like really getting in there and seeing. And then an amazing thing that happened in my life that I really support people in is we're always going to need, like, I don't like the word need. We're always probably going to want, sometimes as we're like leveling and going through this quantum space that we call life and this transformational journey, we'll want people to support us. We'll look for different help. And when you start to tap into your own innate intelligence, you're going to find the quality of people that you reach out for. You're going to find the people that really, really can help you, because you're going to not be so needy inside. You're going to find people that really connect with you, and you're going to find help from people that you never would have even dreamed of or thought of that they could help you, because you're in it for a different reason, you know? And you find value in areas of your life that you didn't find value in before.
Yeah. It's interesting. Mitchell and I, we were just talking about something similar the other day where, when you're chasing after something, you shouldn't have to chase stuff. It should just come to you. And once you kind of, just like what you said, you stop chasing and just let things come to you, that's when the best things, find their way to you.
It's such a beautiful dimension to step into when that starts to happen, is whatever wants me. It's not necessarily what I want. It's just whatever wants me. And it really gives life like this green, bluish, like calming, soothing color that allows you to, like, all the jaded, sharp edges can get taken out of it when you step into that. And it can go very, very deep. We wake up in the morning and some days, like, we don't feel like doing anything. We feel like what the world would call lazy, and to allow ourselves to go through those days of being lazy or doing nothing. There's a reason that we feel that way. So if we allow ourselves to be in that place with all the thoughts of not needing to do something or being progressive in some way, or because the world is just, people don't know how to just let go and to allow yourself to be 100% lazy, because in that space, when you enter into it, allow it, what helps me surrender into it is just that, what wants me. There's no rush. There's no rush in this life. There's no end point. Like, we're all going to die. It's a huge part of life. Like, we're all going to end up in the same place, back in the Mother Earth that took us. So there's no rush for anything. It's just the quality of your internal reality. And so to allow yourself to be lazy on a day, some of my most productive days is when I allowed myself, like, a week went by when I just I just had to let go of, like, everything. I did just enough to keep the inertia going on all my business and, like, contacts with people, but everything else was just, and that's some of the most productive times in your life. Once you get the lazy stuff out of your head and you just allow what wants to happen, and then all of a sudden in that week you get an email of it for an opportunity that just is awesome. So what you've been waiting for or something like that, that's the time stuff comes through. And so when someone can drop into that space in sessions with me, or even in the group sessions, you give yourself an hour and a half of your life to just, like, allow yourself to be in this space of nothingness, to see who you are in it,
Yeah, that's very cool.
Amazing. Yeah. Very grounded way of approaching everything. Very inspirational.
Yeah. I think it's important to be grounded, especially in the modern world, because there's a lot of, how do I say it? There's a lot of ungroundedness going on. we could end up in the clouds, like flying. And I was in that space too. I was in the clouds for a long time. And it's a beautiful place to be. But if we're not tethered to the earth, if we're not grounded in our own essence, then we can get lost in the ungrounded details out there. And meanwhile, our life is kind of fluttering, but yet we're out in like the cosmos. It's all about our life, like as a human being. And one thing that helped me tremendously on my journey, I would say, is I worked with the plant medicine ayahuasca for like years. And the medicine completely changed my life, my perspective, my relationship with life itself. And all I can say is all the experiences that I've had with the medicine, if I had to sum it up in like one question, it allowed me to be a human being. And allowed me to, how do I say it? We are a human being. So we must allow ourselves to be human, like to truly be human. And we don't really understand what that is. And being human is very simple, like in the context of what we are and what we can do. We have a lot of capabilities to invent and to create and all this stuff, but being human it's like a feeling inside. It's a very vulnerable, open, a vulnerability in the perception of powerful, because vulnerability is powerful, and it's like the other end of the stick. A lot of people think, oh, I'm vulnerable, so it takes my power away. No, it's the more vulnerable you are, the less anything can happen to you, really, because you're so out there. And we're human beings. And that's what the medicine just showed me, to like, it just took all the fluff of the world and allowed me to ground in my own self, and it was a beautiful process to go through, because I went through like the cosmic, ultra spiritual, crazy, like, I was there too. And then just slowly, from the pendulum swinging from one side to another, like I just like found this place of just like, I'm just a human being, and there's so much healing in just allowing yourself to be a human being,
Yeah. So one of the questions that came up for me when you were going through is, so do you have any tips to help people ground themselves or stay grounded? Because I know, like you said, there's so many people who get stuck in their head or get, up in the clouds, and it's definitely important.
Yeah, it's very simple. And depending on where you live, the most grounding thing we can do, and this goes for anybody in the world, is nature. It is like the most grounding thing that we can do. But we have to allow ourselves to get into that place. We can do all this stuff and say, oh, I'm grounding, and there's a million different things to do. But if you just went outside and sat your butt down in the grass and you listen to the birds and the insects, and it's so grounding. If you stare, this is what do you call it? The five senses, right? You can use them to ground yourself. So if you looked at the grass, and then your mind's going to go, and your mind's going to be thinking about other things, and then you allow yourself to look deeper at the grass, you're going to see little pieces of the grass you've never noticed before, because you've never allowed yourself to just look at the grass. And then another layer of your mind is going to need to let go. And you're going to see deeper into the grass. You're going to see all the little insects and the bugs and everything into the grass. And then another little layer is going to go. And then you're going to look into the grass. You're going to see how it melts with the dirt. And you're going to notice stuff about it you never knew existed. And when you're noticing that stuff, you're grounded. You're present, you're grounded, you're connecting with the earth. And that is a very grounding thing. In the same thing as if you have an animal and you watch the animal deeper and deeper in those layers. First, you watch it, you see the elements to it you've seen your whole life. And then you start to notice things about it that you've never allowed yourself to notice. Then you watch its breathing and you watch its twitches, and you see little like all the stuff in its nose, and you see its stuff in its mouth, and you see like all this stuff about it you've never seen, you're grounding yourself. That is like, anybody can do it. You can stare at a plant in your bedroom and notice things about it you never noticed about yourself. And that is grounding. But when you're outside in the elements, it just gives it that whole extra layer to it, that does tether you. I mean, we all know the science is out. There's a movie out there called Earthing. Literally, grounding is a scientifically proven thing. So when you're barefoot on the earth, you scientifically can be hooked up to a thermal screen and it shows you go red to blue. You know? So grounding isn't a hippie thing anymore. It's a scientific EMF diluting, dissolving, brain synchronizing thing. So it's really important to have that in our life. And our bottoms of our feet have to touch the ground, or our hands. We can sit and our legs can touch, but it does not do what the bottoms of our feet, the receptors on the extremities of our bodies, do to the grounding process. So it's really important. And I recommend everybody watch that documentary. It's called Earthing.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out. I know sometimes I'll go in my backyard and just put my hands on the trees for a while, and just kind of, after a while, you'll just start to like sway with them, and you'll just feel like you're just part of the tree. It's pretty cool. Definitely.
They're there to help you, you know?
Yeah.
In some of my experiences with the plant medicine, it shows, you know, we look at trees, like we look at human beings and we see like the differences in the human beings, and we know, like, we differentiate. But one thing that we see a bunch of trees. Like, I've seen seen the uniqueness and the differences in the personalities of the trees. Like, that stuff comes alive and it's right in front of us all the time. We just don't see it because we don't connect with that depth of our physical reality, but we can if we allow ourselves to. And that's just some of the experiences I've gone through, that when it brings that stuff to light, you never forget it. And you kind of carry it with you forever. So it's like, even though I don't see it right now, like I have a tree on my property that I know what the essence of it looks like, but I don't see it with my physical eyes now. It's just something that's always there. We really connect with nature.
That's awesome. And is that something that you recommend to your clients and stuff too?
What's that? Grounding?
Yeah, well, just being in nature in general. And yeah,
it's a huge part of if they ask me for like my advice or my suggestion or like my guidance, then yeah, if they're, like I said, the 5 elements that I work on is internal, external, relationships, health, and communication. And we go through each of those aspects, and they pick areas of their things in their life that correlate to those 5 areas. So if they're working on a relationship with their external environment, like a huge thing is cleanliness that I suggest, like your car, your bedroom, your bathrooms, your kitchen, to really create an external environment that's going to help shift you. And whenever you get stir crazy in that, you just simply go outside and ground. It's like a tool you use as you move through these different areas in your life, because it can be a lot. When we go to make these changes in our life, like a lot of like stuff can be torn around. Because an exercise I have people do is I have them go through their closets and get rid of all their old clothes and all their old stuff that they don't use, you know, like their physical stuff. And it's amazing how attached we are to this stuff. You haven't worn it in like 2 years, but yet you want to keep it because maybe a rainy day you're going to use it. When you have a 99.9% chance you're never going to look at it, you're never going to touch it again, but you're going to keep it anyway. And our subconscious knows every single thing in our life, down to the pens on your desk, down to the clothes in your closet. Your subconscious is running like background memory of your computer, and it knows everything. That's why when we're free, our subconscious knows that you've let this stuff go, and it's free to make its own decisions. And when we ground and when we come back, we allow that subconscious to kind of like download and ground and download and ground, and it really supports us through the process.
It's an interesting way to look at it. I never thought about it that way. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's a big one. The external environment, I don't think most people give themselves enough credit, or they don't give it enough credit. How important simply changing the direction of your couch in your living room can change your life, because that's going to change your life every day. So it's working on all these little aspects of your life that are going to facilitate transformation in your life. And when you take life control, responsibility, and you dedicate like time in between, say you're going to give it 2 weeks and you're going to work on your external environment, you're going to notice you're going to be sitting down at places and you're just going to stand up and you're going to pick something up and you're going to be like, I don't want that anymore. It's amazing what happens. You're going to be like, I don't want that anymore. Or you're not going to be able to sleep one night. You're going to like stay up to like 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're just going to like tear apart this drawer that's been driving you insane. You didn't even know it. You didn't even know that this junk, crazy drawer has been driving you insane. But one day you're going to be sitting on your couch and you're not going to be able to sleep, and this drawer is just going to like be right in front of your face. And you're just going to get up and go do it. And you're going to throw out 90% of what's in there. And then the drawer is just going to look perfect. And you're going to just shut it and you're going to be able to go to bed. And that comes from awakening that subconscious consciousness that's there. We got to give ourselves time to do it.
I've always heard the expression cleanliness is next to godliness. So I think that's
it is. You know, it doesn't have to be like OCD crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, right now, personally in my own life, like my tool bench downstairs is just like, most of my life is I've been working on this for a couple of years, but like my tool bench is just like a train wreck right now. And I think about it at least once a day that I want to go organize it and clean it. I haven't. And I know as soon as I do it, I'm going to feel so much better. It's going to clear energy in me. And, you know, it'll probably happen at like 2 a.m. I'll just like go down there and do it. And I'm in bed early and I just won't be able to sleep. And I'll just go down there and clean my tool bench when I could have just done it. You know, it's just how we're just humans having fun.
That's funny. All right. So are you doing like YouTube and stuff too, or is it all just?
I'm on YouTube, my TikTok, and I have Instagram, and they're my three things. Like Michael Vasconez 11 is pretty much all of them. My YouTube is just Michael Vasconez, and then my website is michaelvasconez.com. And once you go to like one of them, I have a link tree that'll send you to all my platforms, and people can schedule greeting calls with me to see if the coaching that I do is a fit. And I also have a bunch of free courses on there for people to sign up and download. And I just put one out on water called Water Wisdom. It's a big part of our life, and most of us are not given the correct information about the water we're drinking. So I created a course for that, and I think people have been enjoying that. And that's something I just put out recently. So
yeah. And we'll put the links in the description below so people can find you on all your different sites and stuff. But yeah, it was great to have you on. It was awesome. The information that you shared for sure. Definitely. I'm going to go try the nature thing.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on. It was great.
Yeah.
That was really, really refreshing. Thank you for sharing that. I'll definitely check out your water course as well, whatever you've got going there.
It's very simple. Anybody can do it. I have what I recommend on there. And it also, I have a free ebook, so you can see all the information that I have on there, backed up by a Dr. Bannock. He wrote the book. And yeah, it's all on there for you guys.
Thank you.
That's great.
I was also like to ask you one thing as well. So with the studies that you did around health, is juicing a big part of that as well? Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. Juicing is a tool of technology that we use to bridge a problem that we have in the modern world. Juicing is very, very important. Yeah. 50 cups of spinach now is what 1 cup of spinach used to equal. Like, what is it? I think it was like 50 years ago.
Right.
That's how depleted our nutrients are in our soil. So juicing helps combat that. It also helps us get nutrients into our body without our digestion being so overloaded. It's really important. A green, bitter juice is what you want.
Interesting.
So can I then ask you about the preparation techniques? So if you buy organic versus non-organic, do you clean your produce a certain way? Do you use like machines or cleaning?
If it's non-organic, peel it, because organic can be expensive and you have to kind of do the best you can in every circumstance. So if it's organic, one thing that you want to make sure is always organic is the greens and your celery, because they spray a lot of stuff on celery. And if you look at non-organic celery compared to organic celery, the non-organic is like twice the size of organic celery.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. But like cucumbers and apples and stuff, do the best you can, but you can peel them. So you always want to peel them. Peel anything that isn't organic.
All right. Do you follow the clean 15, dirty dozen?
Yeah, the dirty, that's a good thing that's out there. And it is true. There is like asparagus, right? I know most people don't juice asparagus, but asparagus is mostly always okay to eat, because if you spray anything on asparagus, it dies.
Right.
So it's pretty much grown well all the time, even if it's not labeled organic.
It's good.
And like bananas and stuff like that, they have like a thick peel on them, like when it comes to fruit. But grapes, you want to be careful of grapes. They spray crazy stuff on grapes. That's why wine's so dangerous. Most people don't realize wine is so bad for you, not because of like the alcohol content. I mean, that's not good for you either, but like it's because most wine, especially from California in the United States, it has over like 76 different pesticides in it.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Because think about it. They have fields and fields and fields of grapes, and they just spray the crap out of them. And then it's all condensed into a little cup of juice for you.
That's true. Wow, I never even thought about that. Oh, it's a good thing I don't drink anymore.
Yeah. And there's a guy, I forget where I saw like the 76 number. Like I knew about the pesticides being condensed, but that 76 number, I wish I could quote the guy who said it. I actually forget. He was a trustworthy source, but it makes sense. Grapes are something you really want to be careful of. And then you get to the wine and it's like, think of how many grapes are into one of those bottles, and then all the pesticides, all the chemicals are still in there. It's not like they filter it out. And I don't care if they say if they do, they're not, I don't even know if it's possible.
So is juice the same way then? Like grape juice and other juices, same thing?
Yeah. I part of when I work with people with chronic illness, the only liquids they put in their body is water and fresh fruit and fresh juices, like made from a juicer. Or maybe if they haven't like a herbal tea or like whatever like that. But that's the only juices that when I work with people with chronic illness, that's like some of the protocols,
Yeah.
Because you have to think of how our food was made, and then juices is everything's just condensed.
Are you familiar with ozone machines?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah. Yeah, we use that as well, especially for cooking or just preparing anything.
For your water, cleaning your water?
Yeah, I've done that a few times. Sometimes we actually put grape juice in there as well. But a lot of the time it's for vegetables, for cooking.
Oh, you clean the vegetables with it?
Yeah, like
really smart
as well. Like anything that we cook always gets ozone first.
Do you have the one that has a tube and then a nut on the end of it, or is it just one that blows?
It just goes in the bowl, with the tube. Yeah, and it takes
So you put your vegetables in the water and then you ozonate the water?
Yeah, and one thing is we're not supposed to stay in the room, right? So we do it in the bathroom with the window
Mhm.
open. Do you know about the chemical composition of why we advise to stay away?
Yeah, well, it's not that it's gonna like permanently harm you, but too much of it it won't feel good on your nasal passages at all. I mean,
Right.
ozone is an extra, what is it? Is an extra oxygen, I think, or an
Yeah,
extra hydrogen?
I
It's
think
one of the,
it's-
I think it's H3O2 or
Yeah,
H3O, I forget.
I think you're right. I think it's H3O or something like that.
Yeah, but it breaks down into oxygen pretty quick after that. But I have like an industrial one where we do whole rooms, and I took a whiff one time and my eye swelled up and I had like all my nasal passages got puffy, but this wasn't the one like you had. This one was like intense. It's for a whole room to kill mold,
Uh,
and within 24 hours it cleared up.
okay.
But I have the same one you have probably, and I smell it because you can clear your rooms with it, and it won't hurt you too bad if you just kind of like lightly disperse it, and it kind of cleans your house. It kind of feels good.
All right. Try in the other rooms then.
Yeah.
And one other thing I want to ask you, so if people don't have an ozone machine, if they don't buy organic, what do you think about sodium bicarbonate, baking soda? And then you've got the apple cider vinegar wash as well that some people use.
All of that stuff's really good. I've heard a lot of people use it. And another thing is food grade hydrogen peroxide.
Right. More oxygen, right?
Yeah, hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. Yeah, so it's an extra oxygen. It breaks down into water. It's very safe. So you can fill your sink up with water, plug it, put like a cap full of 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide in there, and just dunk all your stuff in there you want to clean, let it sit in there, and then you don't even have to wipe it off or anything because it's fine. People actually can ingest it in their body. They do protocols with it. It's very safe and inert.
Mm. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Tastes like anything?
No. If you get it directly on your skin, it'll turn it white, but if you dilute it with water, you're good.
Interesting. And how long do you recommend leaving it in there?
I would say a couple minutes. I mean, you'll see it fizzling and stuff, and I would say 5 minutes. It's probably you don't want to like also ruin your vegetables either, depending on what you're doing. It's like a mushroom. It's just a quick dunk, but apples you can leave in there. They have wax, like the waxy stuff. That stuff takes some time to dissolve. So.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing all your wisdom. It's really refreshing to have you on.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. You're on the right track, man. If you're looking into all that kind of knowledge, and I'm sure you're doing a lot of other good stuff. So I'm sure there's a lot of knowledge you got under your belt too. Because most people they don't know about the ozone and the vegetable washing and the juicing. They just don't know about it.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you to interact more with you as well and confirm the other modalities, because of course, like you said, a lot of people don't know about this stuff, and with the amount of glyphosate in the foods and the chemical exposure, the fluoride, we need these natural alternatives and these tools in our home to eat clean and just be more connected to nature without being poisoned.
Yeah, it's very important to keep this pineal gland, pituitary gland clean of those chemicals that it literally stops us from thinking to our full capability.
Yeah.
It's literally what it does.
Yeah. It's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. I'm so glad that you were able to join us and share all your information. It was a really good time. I'm glad you're able to come on. Definitely like to have you
Absolutely,
back.
Joe. Mitchell, it was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's wonderful. Thanks. Okay.
All right.
I guess we'll be saying bye for now. We want to say thank you to anyone who's been watching, and we hope you really enjoyed the podcast. If anyone else would like to share anything.
That's it. Just many blessings to whoever's watching and the two hosts.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you. See you guys.
See ya.